Education has been becoming a very essential sector for the longest period of time. We have been trying a lot of methods in order to create a good and furthermore create a better system of education. In our society, teacher and also student, both of them are of course complicit in a big role to create a proper study environment. But oftentimes we understand what we face several challenges and issues. For example, students that lack of interest to study, or difficulties on having a bunch of lessons to study, and so on and so forth. We totally understand that students will have different potentials, and also students, of course, have different capabilities from one to another. And that's why we agree to this motion. We're very proud to propose. So, what is the parameter of intelligence and academic performance we're going to use in this motion? We set up parameter of how good or how intelligent their academic performance. Parameter of how intelligent their academic performance based on three things. Firstly, academic report. For example, absency and daily reports of them. Secondly, participation of their after school activity. Thirdly, events or competitions that they attend to. How exactly the characteristic of the parameter of the classroom itself. Even today, note that we have already several schools that have specific classes to group students based on their intelligence. For example, bilingual class, so on and so forth. We say that there's no special treatment given to these students except of just being put different level of classes because of those students have different potentials as well. So, what is the problem under our side of the house? Firstly, we said that not every student are able to keep up with school, right? Not every student are able to keep up with what the teachers teach during the day or with the lesson that they have in school. For example, there are some people are good in a certain lessons, but the other one is failing at the certain lessons. Secondly, students whom are being excellent will be excellent more and more. Currently, those who cannot keep up will just cannot keep up till the end of the day and will just talk and not developing anything because they are grouped in a class with people in different potentials. Thirdly, toxic competition between geniuses and whom considered less genius are currently happening in our society. For example, as to how they have different potentials and those who are considered more genius getting more favoritism and getting more attention because they thought they're more superior than others who actually have just different potentials. We said, by doing these mechanisms, we are going to fix these issues from occurring, which I'm going to explain later on my argument. What are we stands for? We believe that we are going to create a better environment to study and furthermore to develop education, a better education system in the future. And how are we going to do? So three things under our mechanisms. Firstly, separate them based on skills, intelligence, and also academic performances. Secondly, we still attend at class to qualify which students that would be put in a certain class. For example, with doing potential test or academic test. Thirdly, group them based on their potential intelligence and skills, as so that's how these students can have proper platform to develop their skills in the future, and that will be very useful for them, right? Note, we are not going to give any kinds of special treatment towards those students or classes, so no favoritism under our side of the house. What am I going to do? What I'm going to bring you to in my argument, I'm going to talk about how putting students in their classes based on potential intelligence instead of their age is justifiable to begin with. First, toxic competition. Even in the same class and potentials still occurring between students, even in the same class with the same potentials. Secondly, gap between students due to grouping class. And thirdly, favoritism from teacher towards the students. But we assure you that it's not going to happen under our side of the house. Why? Firstly, let's take a look at a whole problem, how that already occurs and keep getting worse, and we can actually cater this problem. We say that oftentimes because we are in a group of class with different potentials of students. For portrayal, we're in a group of class with different potentials and capability. These problems will occur. First, teachers oftentimes see students have the same level of understanding and the same capability to take all those lessons, while they actually not. Secondly, toxic competition between smarter and less smart. This is still occurring because everybody has their own ambitions with their own potentials. In our society, often the smarter one feel superior whether have different potentials. In our society, oftentimes the smarter one always feels like, oh, I'm better than these people, I'm better than these superior. Or why? They're just having different potentials. Thirdly, students with different potentials hardly to develop due to the different amount of they can take of the lessons, and we keep normalizing it. Those teachers even couldn't understand as to how these students can actually understand and doesn't have this understanding level as other people has. Or other students that is better than them, that's right, and that's why we're going to cater this problem, and this problem is really, really crucial, and why the mechanism will be available to cater it. So, firstly, teacher easily understands student capability by having them in one class. Teachers are going to be easily note, oh, the student's capabilities is on this level, or oh, the student's potential is this, and that's why we are going to be better for both teacher and also students to actually develop with this kind of environment. Now, secondly, those students who have same potentials will save a better atmosphere. That when we are being grouped with persons or with people in the same potentials, in the same interests with them, firstly, they are going to have a better environment to study. Secondly, they will receive support from one to another because they have same potentials, they have same goal, and so that's why in the future they will be able to actually discuss it with them or just sharing the same interest from one to another. And they will also encounter the same students with potentials that doesn't occur in regular places like we have right now. Thirdly, or the last one, is toxic competition. We already told you that there's no special treatment, and also there will be just the same amount of assignment and also teaching duration, so there's no favoritism to begin with. Secondly, we are going to create understanding where everyone has different potentials that can be developed at any time to every student inside the class or schools. Now we're going to move when it comes to worst scenario. Even under our side of the house, when it creates toxic environment or atmosphere for these people, first, we think that toxic environment already exists to begin with, even in regular classes, but it's going to be worse under opposition side of the house because they don't have these kind of treatment and that these students can receive based on their own starting point and potential. It's just a matter of how each perspective going to. Secondly, it's going to be better and it's still going to be okay under our side of the house because the platform they can study is correct enough compared to the opposition side of the house because they're going to start with their own start point and also potentials. For the conclusion is that's why we said that it's going to be better under our side of the house because we are going to create a more convenient study environment and also more convenient education system in the future. We're going to have these students develop their own potentials and capabilities for every student and every classes with no favoritism. Thank you. I'm very proud to propose.